Over half of all American warships destroyed or damaged since World War II were not victims of missile strikes, enemy aircraft, or submarine warfare. They were taken out by naval mines. These weapons are so cheap, so simple, and so catastrophic that a lone device priced at just a few $100s can completely obliterate a massive 100,000-ton aircraft carrier. Fully aware of this reality, the United States Navy has built an entire hidden force focused on preventing such a disaster. This episode reveals that hidden force and the operations which remain unknown to the vast majority of Americans. Introduction. The sea floor enveloping the planet's prime strategic choke points, such as the Strait of Hormuz, the Red Sea, and the Persian Gulf, forms a submerged battleground hidden from public view. Just beneath the waves, within the dark, freezing waters underlying the very shipping corridors that our naval forces traverse daily, silent hazards lie in wait, sea mines, positioned by adversaries, activated by basic laws of physics, and destructive enough to instantly alter the trajectory of a conflict. While the U.S. Navy has recognized this danger for upwards of a century, the specialized technology, tactical maneuvers, and immense organizational scale required to insulate an entire carrier strike group from these devices has never been chronicled with the depth it truly deserves. If you hold deep admiration for the military personnel defending our nation across the oceans, write proud in the comments section below. The mine threat back in 1988, a modest U.S. Navy frigate designated the USS Samuel B. Roberts was navigating the Persian Gulf during a standard patrol mission. It faced no incoming artillery or targeting by hostile jets. Instead, the vessel struck a solitary Iranian naval mine that nearly severed its hull in two. Mending the ship required an $89 million repair bill, leaving the crew stranded for months, uncertain if their vessel would ever hold together. Now translate that exact scenario to a profoundly different target. Not a small frigate, but a full-scale aircraft carrier. A colossal floating military base supporting 80 aircraft, a crew of 5,000 sailors, and billions of dollars in sovereign American military capabilities. That precise vulnerability is exactly what foreign adversaries look to exploit. Naval mines rank among the absolute oldest implements of ocean warfare, yet they are far from primitive. Modern iterations represent some of the most intricate weapon systems ever devised, with global stockpiles currently exceeding 250,000 units across more than 50 international navies. A carrier strike group could potentially encounter several distinct variants, each utilizing its own operational methodology. The moored contact mine, tethered firmly to the ocean floor by a heavy cable, this variant hovers just beneath the surface waves. It triggers an explosion the instant a ship physically collides with it. Straightforward, highly reliable, and fundamentally lethal. The bottom mine. This type rests directly on the ocean floor, completely invisible and silent to passing crews. It sits patiently until its internal sensors detect the pressure differential, magnetic signature, or acoustic vibrations of a heavy vessel crossing above before detonating. Known as influence mines, these systems are explicitly engineered to cripple capital warships. The rising mine. A particularly alarming variant, this mine anchors itself to the seabed until it senses a massive hull passing directly overhead. Upon detection, it launches a high-speed torpedo straight up into the vessel's underside, striking before the onboard crew even registers its presence. Smart mines. These intelligent weapons are calibrated to let smaller, non-threatening vessels pass over unharmed, actively counting ships and waiting to fire only when an asset matching the immense displacement of an aircraft carrier arrives. Estimates indicate that Iran alone commands between 2,000 and 5,000 naval mines positioned near the Strait of Hormuz. That compressed maritime channel, measuring a mere 21 miles wide at its tightest bottleneck, sees the transit of 20 million barrels of petroleum every single day. Restricting traffic there would instantly trigger a severe global economic shockwave, a leverage point Iran fully understands. Meanwhile, North Korea possesses an inventory estimated at a staggering 50,000 mines, a massive figure that is entirely accurate. This is the perilous operating environment the U.S. Navy navigates, and it explains exactly why the fleet maintains a dedicated combat branch centered on a singular goal: neutralizing the corridor before the aircraft carrier ever enters the zone. The Mine Countermeasure Force. Long before a carrier strike group maneuvers into any high-risk body of water, an advance element charts the path. This task falls neither to frontline destroyers nor to stealth submarines, but rather to a compact, quiet, and slow-moving flotilla of specialized craft hidden from the public eye, the Mine Countermeasures Force. These vessels lack an aggressive, imposing aesthetic and possess little speed, yet they deploy specialized technologies far more advanced than most citizens realize. Their operational mandate is the most critical link in the entire deployment, mapping every mine in the carrier's vector and neutralizing them well before the flagship approaches. The structural foundation of this group is the Avenger-class Mine Countermeasures vessel. The U.S. Navy maintains 8 of these active ships, with several permanently forward deployed to Bahrain in the heart of the Persian Gulf, specifically to counter regional mining threats. What makes these platforms truly remarkable is their physical construction. Their hulls are manufactured entirely from fiberglass rather than traditional steel. This prevents their metallic mass from triggering the magnetic sensors of nearby mines. From the primary hull down to the engines, propulsion systems, and even individual structural bolts, every element is selected to ensure a near-zero magnetic footprint, rendering the ship invisible to magnetism-hunting ordnance. To find hidden hazards, each Avenger-class vessel utilizes a heavy, variable-depth sonar array lowered deep into the water column via cable. This sonar methodically maps the seabed, creating high-definition imagery of all bottom-dwelling objects, differentiating regular rocks, sunken wrecks, and discarded debris from active mines. Once a problematic contact is flagged, the vessel deploys a remote underwater vehicle to inspect the object closely. If a live mine is verified, the robot positions a localized explosive charge right beside it, retreats to a safe operating distance, and triggers a controlled detonation. This sequence, detecting, confirming, and neutralizing, is executed continuously for every single suspect item in the strike group's path. Yet these ships are only one component of the operation. Before exploring further, please take a quick moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Since more than 98% of our audience watches content without subscribing, taking this free step helps our channel immensely. The helicopters. If the Avenger-class ships represent the ground infantry of mine clearing, the aviation assets are the heavy cavalry. The MH-53E Sea Dragon reigns as the largest helicopter in the entire U.S. Navy inventory, boasting a maximum gross weight of nearly 74,000 pounds when fully loaded. For decades, it has served as the fleet's premier airborne platform for countermine operations. Aviation assets bring one definitive advantage to mine clearance: raw speed over water. A helicopter can tow specialized detection arrays across vast swathes of ocean in a matter of hours, a search area that would demand days of intensive sailing from a surface vessel. Most critically, if an underwater detonation occurs unexpectedly, the flight crew remains safely airborne above the blast zone rather than riding the shockwave through the water. The Sea Dragon operates by dragging heavy, specialized sweeping equipment across the surface of the sea. One configuration broadcasts an intense magnetic field engineered to trick magnetically fused mines into registering the passage of a massive steel warship, causing the mine to blow apart harmlessly beneath the soaring aircraft. Another towed array projects acoustic frequencies calibrated to perfectly mimic the noise of a large naval vessel. Submerged acoustic mines detect exactly what they are looking for, trigger their firing sequence, and detonate into open water. The flight crew monitors the resulting plumes safely from above, knowing that every explosion cleared is one less threat waiting to claim the carrier. Concurrently, the MH-60S Seahawk has taken on a rapidly expanding role within the Mine Countermeasures network. Though smaller and more structurally modern than the legacy Sea Dragon, it utilizes a sophisticated airborne laser detection system to scan the upper water column, easily spotting moored mines floating near the surface. The Seahawk also deploys autonomous neutralization devices. Compact robotic units dropped directly from the aircraft that swim autonomously to a target mine and destroy it without ever risking a human life in the water. That operational shift cannot be overstated. Sending human clearance divers into mine-infested waters is among the most perilous duties in the entire armed forces. Every technological advancement that removes a person from that environment directly protects lives. Yet, there is a paradigm shift underway that surprises most people when they first hear it. This entire suite of ships, helicopters, and underwater tools is currently being transitioned out of service. Not due to performance failures, but because the Navy is introducing a superior operational model, one that the enemy cannot target, that never experiences fatigue or fear, and that operates in hazardous zones completely inaccessible to humans. The Unmanned Revolution. Knifefish is the official designation for the U.S. Navy's newest and most sophisticated autonomous mine-hunting asset, and its physical profile looks nothing like traditional sweeping equipment. The Knifefish is a 19-foot unmanned underwater vehicle, UUV, taking the form of a self-contained torpedo-shaped robot that functions entirely on its own. Operating free of human crews, physical tethers, or active remote control links, it is programmed with a specific search matrix, launched into the sea, and left to execute its mission independently. The defining feature separating the Knifefish from all ancestral systems is its advanced sonar payload. It utilizes low-frequency broadband sonar, a technology custom-tailored to pierce through seabed materials and identify buried mines hidden beneath layers of sand, shifting silt, and bottom debris. These are the exact hazards that standard helicopter systems, surface sonars, and human divers routinely miss. The Knifefish sweeps its assigned sector, creates a detailed three-dimensional map of all hidden objects, and returns to the surface to upload its data. Naval analysts then evaluate the coordinates, confirm the mine locations, and dispatch tactical neutralization teams. Working in tandem with this asset are smaller autonomous units from the Remus series. Compact, versatile robots that can be launched from nearly any vessel to scout shallow coastal waters, far too dangerous for larger ships. The Navy is also actively testing an unmanned surface vehicle, USV, an autonomous boat designed to pull the exact same heavy sweep gear traditionally towed by the Sea Dragon. The overarching goal is simple: achieve the exact same operational results while removing human beings from the danger zone entirely. The U.S. Navy's official modernization strategy heading toward 2030 calls for a definitive departure from specialized, dedicated minesweeping ships, shifting instead toward an integrated, distributed network of unmanned systems. These autonomous tools can be deployed directly from standard destroyers, submarines, and aircraft. Consequently, any standard warship in the fleet can seamlessly transition into a mine hunter on demand, without requiring specialized crews, risking vulnerable hulls, or slowing the advance of the strike group. Real-world threats. Today, these concepts are not confined to academic theory. They are playing out in active theaters right now. Since the latter part of 2023, the U.S. Navy has deployed active task forces to the Red Sea to counter continuous Houthi strikes on commercial shipping lanes. While global media coverage focused almost exclusively on incoming ballistic missiles and aerial drones, the threat of sea mines has remained a constant, unseen peril, lurking just beneath the surface waves. Allied forces in the area have repeatedly intercepted and seized active, Iranian-designed naval mines. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which serves as the narrow southern gateway to the Red Sea at a width of just 18 miles, stands as one of the most highly vulnerable economic bottlenecks on the planet. A small cluster of strategically placed mines in this gap could paralyze global trade networks for weeks on end. To mitigate this, the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain keeps its Avenger-class mine countermeasures vessels on constant, immediate alert. The very moment an actionable mine threat emerges near the Strait of Hormuz or the approaches to the Red Sea, these specialized ships advance ahead of all other naval assets. Concurrently, the 2022 invasion of Ukraine brought a severe mine crisis to the waters of the Black Sea. Russian forces deployed extensive minefields along Ukrainian maritime borders, but numerous devices tore free from their moorings, drifting into the economic zones of Romania, Bulgaria, and Turkey, where they directly threaten international shipping. NATO mine countermeasures groups, which maintain permanently active rotating squadrons of Allied MCM ships, have been continuously deployed to monitor, track, and clear these drifting hazards ever since. The strategic takeaway remains entirely unchanged. Naval mines do not recognize political ceasefires, and they do not stop hunting when a war concludes. In fact, some ordnance being recovered in the Persian Gulf today dates back to the Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s. These devices have rested on the dark seabed for over 40 years, still armed, still lethal, and still waiting for a target. The tactical sequence. What does this complex operational sequence look like during a live mission? How does an entire carrier strike group safely traverse a heavily contested, potentially mined maritime channel? The process initiates days, and sometimes weeks, before the aircraft carrier ever approaches the area. High-altitude intelligence assets lead the way. Satellites map the ocean topography from orbit. Attack submarines make stealthy underwater passes utilizing sensitive onboard passive arrays, and P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft circle overhead, dropping arrays of sonar buoys to construct a comprehensive acoustic profile of the water column below. Next, the specialized mine countermeasure ships advance into the zone. They operate by carving out systematic lanes, cleared transit corridors through the water aligned perfectly with the exact path the aircraft carrier will eventually take. Every single lane undergoes multiple search passes. Every detected contact is thoroughly vetted, and every confirmed mine is systematically blown up. Overhead and along the flanks, helicopters sweep the waters to cover maximum area and trigger influence fuses from a safe altitude. Meanwhile, the aircraft carrier and its protective escort fleet wait far behind the line, holding positions 50 to 100 miles back from the danger area. The most potent projection of military power on the planet halts its advance while a modest group of slow, fiberglass-hulled vessels executes the most hazardous assignment in the entire Navy. Only after the countermeasure force has thoroughly swept, verified, and certified the safety of the transit lanes does the main strike group begin its forward movement. Even during the crossing, the fleet maintains a strict, highly controlled formation. Mine countermeasure ships cover the outer flanks, guided missile destroyers lead the van ahead, and the aircraft carrier trails directly through the center of the sterilized corridor at a heavily regulated speed. It is an incredibly slow, painstaking, and methodical process, but it is the definitive reason why carrier strike groups can project power through the world's most perilous waters. Conclusion. Naval mines have quietly directed the course of maritime history far more than the majority of celebrated ocean battles ever will. They are inexpensive enough for virtually any hostile entity to acquire, destructive enough to check the movements of the most dominant navy on Earth, and patient enough to remain viable for decades beneath the waves. The dedicated personnel comprising the U.S. Navy's mine countermeasures branch form the thin line standing between these hidden weapons and the ships and sailors they are designed to destroy. The next time you see media footage of a massive American aircraft carrier moving smoothly through the Persian Gulf or the Red Sea, understand this reality. Somewhere out ahead of its bow, navigating quietly through those exact same waters, a small collective of elite specialists has already cleared the way. If this breakdown gave you a brand new appreciation for the daily operations of our naval forces, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another story like this one.